In the December 1999 issue of Ironman magazine, a reader posed a question to Mike Mentzer that cut through the typical bodybuilding noise. While mainstream magazines lauded well-developed arms, chests, and backs, the reader noticed a conspicuous absence: neck and forearm development. The reader, a 6-month practitioner of Mentzer's heavy-duty philosophy, acknowledged good results elsewhere, but struggled to build up these particular areas. He voiced his frustration. Every muscle magazine I read includes articles every month on how to build baseball biceps, barn door lats, bulging pecs, and huge thighs. Rarely do any of them address the issues of neck and forearm development. To my mind, they're important muscles, as they are very visible and indicate a masculine appearance when well developed. Unfortunately, while I've had considerable success as a beginning bodybuilder with your heavy-duty training, my neck and forearms are lagging. As much as I liked your book, Heavy Duty 2, Mind and Body, it seems that you too give the neck and forearms short shrift. Any suggestions? Mentzer, ever the contrarian with a keen eye for logic and physiology, delivered a characteristically unfiltered reply rooted in both scientific reasoning and first-hand experience. Mentzer began his response with a diagnosis of sorts. Since you have gained appreciably elsewhere with heavy-duty training, your lack of progress in the neck and forearms suggests a genetic weakness. Almost all bodybuilders, even the top champs, have at least one weak body part. To emphasize the point that no physique is immune to imbalance, Mike gave examples from the highest echelons of bodybuilding. Arnold Schwarzenegger had deficient leg biceps and forearms. Dorian Yates had a symmetry problem with his arms. Boyer Coe had poor abdominal development, and I always suffered with my pectorals. He made it clear that these deficiencies were not due to laziness or lack of attention. None of it was the result of a lack of concern for those body parts. We were born with less muscle fiber density in those areas, and that's the problem with your neck and forearms. This insight placed the blame not on flawed training programs or a failure of effort, but on genetic endowment. A bold statement in a world where most training philosophies promise unlimited potential to anyone who wants it bad enough. The indirect route: let compound movements do the work. Mentzer was known for minimalism, and his recommendations for neck and forearm development were no exception. He candidly admitted, "I rarely prescribe any direct neck or forearm exercises for my clients, as those muscles receive enormous amounts of indirect work from a host of other exercises." He then shared a compelling anecdote. A few years ago, I had a client who made remarkable progress with all of his major muscles, but his best progress was in the area of his neck, for which he did no direct neck exercises. His neck grew more than any other body part, and all he did was shrugs and deadlifts. That's an interesting point that should impress the advocates of volume training, as it demonstrates how little direct high-intensity resistance exercise is required for optimal results. The implications are profound. My client did no direct neck exercises, and his neck grew more than the muscles he was directly working. In other words, Mentzer used this case as a demonstration of heavy-duty's foundational premise: brief, infrequent, high-intensity training elicits superior results without the need for endless sets and exercises. Moreover, he noted that another way in which the neck is worked indirectly is that all bodybuilders subconsciously flex it during all exercises. This subconscious engagement adds yet another layer to the indirect stimulation argument, suggesting that deliberate focus on the neck may not even be necessary in most training regimens. The forearms, overworked by default. Turning his attention to the forearms, Mentzer offered a similar perspective. The forearms are probably the most worked and overworked muscle group of the entire body, as they are directly involved in almost every upper body exercise. He provided specific examples. When performing pull-downs, deadlifts, rows, and shrugs, haven't you noticed that your forearms receive enormous stimulation, often giving out before the primary muscle you're working? This frequent involvement, according to Mentzer, not only makes additional forearm work redundant, but potentially counterproductive. His advice was, for now, to forget any direct forearm and neck work. This may sound disheartening to some lifters eager to attack weak points, but Mike grounded his rationale in realism. Genetically weaker muscles rarely reach full parity with the remainder of the musculature. In other words, expecting complete aesthetic uniformity may be an unrealistic pursuit. He also reminded the reader of something fundamental. You've only been training for 6 months. Over time, as you regularly impose high-intensity training stresses to your major muscles, your neck and forearms will gain mass. In sum, be patient. Trust the process. Let the compound lifts do the work. If you must, periodic direct training. That said, Mentzer wasn't entirely dogmatic about it. He acknowledged, if the problem persists after another several months of training, you might try direct periodic neck and forearm work. But again, in true heavy-duty fashion, the prescription was measured and minimal. Every 2 or 3 heavy-duty arm workouts, add a set of wrist curls and a set of reverse curls for 6 to 10 reps. And for the neck, lie on a bench so that your head and neck are dangling freely over the end. Place a folded towel on your forehead so that you can place a dumbbell horizontally across the top. In essence, you'll be doing neck curls. Allow your head and neck to extend fully over the edge of the bench, then raise them as high as you can. Repeat. Perform 1 set for 6 to 10 reps at every second or third back workout. Again, note the frequency, every second or third workout, not weekly or daily, and only 1 set, a hallmark of Mentzer's belief in the efficiency and potency of high-intensity, low-volume work. The takeaway, train smart, not often. This exchange encapsulates much of what made Mike Mentzer a revolutionary voice in bodybuilding. He never promised miracles, never catered to vanity, and never peddled hype. Instead, he focused on what the body actually does in response to training. And just as importantly, what it doesn't do. In his words, it demonstrates how little direct high-intensity resistance exercise is required for optimal results. This philosophy might not sit well with volume enthusiasts or those who live for the pump, but Mentzer's results, both personally and with his clients, speak for themselves. Whether your neck and forearms are lagging or your calves refuse to grow, Mike's answer remains the same: train with logic, intensity, and patience. Ultimately, his message was clear. Develop the major muscle groups with focus and effort, and the smaller ones, even stubborn necks and forearms, will follow, or at least improve within the limits nature allows.